From athletes to authors, entertainers to innovators, we connect with those who help shape our culture. Join us in revealing stories of their lives and backgrounds, their triumphs and tragedies that molded them into who they are today. Authentically off-script and personally illuminating, this is Audibles with Jason Scarborough. This week on Audibles, Hu Meena.
So your story begins in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So how would you describe growing up there in Clarksdale?
Well, I start out with the word active.
Really?
We had a very active time growing up there. Clarksdale, right there in the Delta, not far from the Mississippi River. Great hunting, great fishing, all this flat land to play ball in. Schoolyards, churchyards, neighbors' houses had bigger yards than ours. We'd go play there, but we were always outside doing things outside in that area. Most beautiful sunsets in the world. I could just see us on these ball fields and watching the suns go down in the Delta, and just a great experience, very, very active experience growing up.
How would you describe your family growing up there in Clarksdale?
Well, I'd have to say, again, active. My dad was a dentist and then became an orthodontist, but he, as soon as he could get out of that office, he was ready to go do something. And we would do the things that I just mentioned, and always on the go, very fun-filled weekends where we did a lot of different things and all. And we just had great activity. Delta was a great place to grow up in and all. We were outside all the time and all. And my family was very on the go. My mother's a great cook, so she, all the boys in the neighborhood would come over after we got through playing ball, and she would cook for us and do things like that. So it was a very kind of neighborhood-centric. But when we get out of our neighborhood, we ride bikes all over the place, even out to the fishing lake and those type of things. So just a whole lot of fun, a lot of great people there that we grew up with, and family was just part of a big group. My dad had grown up in Clarksdale and lived there his whole life, so he knew everybody and they knew him. So we were just a big part of the community.
Did you have any siblings growing up?
Yeah, sure do, and still do. I have a brother who lives in the Memphis area and a sister who lives in Clarksdale area. And we were very close, 2 years between my younger brother and me, and then 2 years between him and my sister and all. And so my brother and I played on ball teams together at high school and various times during our growing up, and did a lot of things together, including fight. We got after each other pretty good, but it was okay for he and I to fight, but nobody else better mess with either one of us, or they're gonna get both of us.
That rule's been in place for a long time, hadn't it?
It's been there for a long time for a lot of people.
I can beat up on them, but nobody else better touch them, right?
That's the way it works.
You're a self-described sports nut. You pretty much played every sport coming up, but you played for Charlie Connerly's shoe store Little League football team.
Right. Yeah, sure did.
Played quarterback. Yeah. So in Clarksdale, Chunk and Charlie's hometown, that's a little bit of pressure. How do you think you measured up?
I don't know. I didn't get off to a good start because Charlie Connelly, when he was playing, I never had the opportunity to see him. He retired about the time I was coming of age, so I didn't get to see him play, but I heard the stories. And I heard how the first time he ever went out on the golf course, shot an 80 without ever having picked up a club. I've been playing my whole life, and I've shot 80 twice or something, And, the stories like play, he was an all SEC baseball player. And of course, all SEC, all American quarterback at Ole Miss, and then played all pro quarterback for the Giants and all. So it was interesting having a legend in an office building not too far down from where my dad's dentist office was, and to be able to just walk by there and see one of the greatest NFL players of the time, right there in his office. And they decided the same year I was old enough to play Little League football, they decided Connelly Shoes decided to sponsor a team. And so this was back when Joe Namath was the big deal quarterback in the NFL. So I wanted to wear number 12 like Joe Namath did. And, the Jets crosstown rival, the Giants, and they really wanted me to wear 42, and I just wouldn't do it. I was going to wear number 12, and that's just the way it was. And so that was an interesting time. Of course, Charlie Connelly, he didn't care, but this was just some of the people, the manager of the shoe store, or whatever, wanted me to wear 42 and all. But so that's why I say I didn't get off to a really good start. But you're talking about playing a lot of sports, I sat on the bench a lot. That was really frustrating and all. And by the time I got to be a senior in high school, after having sat on the bench my sophomore and junior year, I was a scout team quarterback and all that for a couple of years. But it sure was fun to get to play, and that's what happened. And really all the sports. I was a late developer, and by the time my senior year, I got to play football and basketball and run track and do all the things that I'd been practicing for many years, trying to get ready for that.
Played a lot of sports, but you knew growing up that you wanted to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that passion to get into coaching or that desire to get into coaching comes from?
Well, I'll go back to my neighborhood that we grew up in. I was kind of in between. There were some older guys, 5 and 6 years older, who would let me play ball with them and all. They were really nice to not run me off, and they let me kind of get in the way is probably a better description. And then I was older than the next group of boys in the neighborhood. And so it was up to me to kind of organize the pickup games. And thankfully back then we didn't have a whole lot of organized sports and all at a real early age. And so if we wanted to have a football game or a baseball game or a basketball game, we got it up together. We weren't going out to whatever park and have coaches and all that. We had to get it up ourselves to be able to have those kind of activities. And so I would kind of coordinate everything as far as who's going to be on what teams, what time we're going to play, and all those things. And one thing I learned is I better set the team. You couldn't stack the teams, because if you did, you put all the good players on one side and not so good on the other, the game wouldn't last 10 minutes. So I'd spend a lot of time just balancing it all out and get equal teams. And I just really enjoyed that growing up and doing all that. And then by the time I got to be in high school, I mentioned that I was the scout team quarterback for a couple of years. Heck, I was carrying a clipboard around like a coach, and I'd help the coaches call plays, even though I was sitting over there on the dang bench. But so I just kind of always was interested in doing that. And then once my senior year, once I got to play a lot, I really became much more interested in doing that.
So coming out of high school, you go to Ole Miss. You attend Ole Miss. How would you describe your time there at Ole Miss?
Very social.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is a very social place, and knew a lot of people. In fact, the tagline that Ole Miss used at that time was Ole Miss, where everyone speaks. And what they meant was that everybody speaks to each other and all. And that's, I found that to be part of the culture there and all. And it was fun. I got to know a lot of people and learned how to converse with a lot of different people and learned how to interact and all, whether it be through the Greek system or going to class or intramural sports, which I was highly participative in. I also walked on in football my freshman year there and got to know all the football players. And so I met a lot of different people, and it really helped me as I was preparing for this career that I found myself in a while later, but being able to go around to various meetings and conferences and all, meeting new people, going to Washington D.C., having dinner at the White House, and not the president one there, but I did have dinner at the White House with a lot of officials, things like that. Always comfortable, just always able to navigate those waters and all, and it had a lot to do with really developing some amount of social skill that I probably wouldn't have developed. I know I would not have developed on my own when through that Ole Miss. And notice I didn't say, I was on a dean's list or anything like that. I'm not going to mislead you. That was not. But I did think being able to develop social skills and all was probably the best thing that happened with Ole Miss. Made a lot of really good friends, lifelong friends, still friends today. And it was just a great experience.
Now, coming out of Ole Miss, your first job was Pillow Academy,
right,
teaching all sports and driver's education. I can't imagine you probably got some stories from that. I'm curious that time at Pillow Academy, teaching all sport, getting to be involved in coaching, which is what you wanted to do. How did that experience at Pillow Academy, what lessons did you draw from there that maybe you still put in practice today in business?
Well, I tell you, I was first year out of college, I was assistant coach on the football staff. And our football coach there was he was really almost obsessive about the cleanliness and the organization of the athletic facilities and all. That was his big deal. He almost spent more time on that than he did coaching the players. But and seeing the way he took care of the assets and the resources that he had available to him is something that we try to do here. We try to take care of our facilities. We try to keep them up to date, keep them organized, take care of them before there's any deterioration in a proactive manner and all. So that's a really a principle that has helped at least me be be somewhat effective in making sure that we do have nice facilities, and we've been blessed with those, and we try to take care of that and keep them organized, clean, well maintained.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
The internet can be a dangerous place. With Connect and Protect from C Spire, you get the phone you want, and you get the tools to easily track her location, restrict content, and help protect her at any age. It's like a digital mom arm.
A what?
That thing moms do.
I'm not following.
How do I put this? Look out!
Oh, mom arm. Got it, yeah.
Introducing Connect and Protect from C Spire. Only $30 a month with free guided setup. Customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Hi, I'm Erica Bedwell, the Director of Rehab at Covington County Hospital. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services says you have a right to choose the swing bed program that's right for your loved ones. Our patients experience a comforting, supportive, and healing environment in large private rooms. Our swing bed staff is highly skilled and includes board-certified physicians, practitioners, and experienced nursing staff, all working alongside physical, occupational, and speech therapist staff to return your loved ones to the quality of life they deserve.
The weather's getting warmer, and that means Mississippi blueberries are ready to be picked. Make a day of it with family and friends at one of the many U-Pick farms across the state, or take home Mississippi-grown blueberries from your local market, because locally grown is what's best for our state. Donate at farmfamiliesms.org to help us spread the word, or find us on Facebook. The Farm Families of Mississippi, our work fuels the world.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
Sitting here in the beautiful C Spire building as we speak. You can see behind us here this beautiful room we're sitting in. So in 1986, you served as general manager of Southland Systems of Mississippi Incorporated. Back then, that was a long-distance telecommunications service provider. What was it about telecommunications that interested you so much, that pulled you so much?
Well, in 1983, Judge Green broke up the old Bell monopoly, which had controlled telecom for almost 100 years in the United States. It was, that monopoly was anti-competitive all the way, like all monopolies are. Mm-hmm. And so it just been busted up. And one of the first things that introduced competition in the telecom space was the part of the telecom services known as long distance in those days. I don't know if people think about that anymore. And so there was a wide variety of new startups in the long distance arena. And we became a reseller where we would go out and buy time from some of these startups who had beginning to build networks like MCI and old Sprint and all. They were building nationwide networks to carry long distance telephone calls. We became a reseller under the name of Southland Systems and all, and we got to compete. And really going back to my childhood and growing up and all, it's what I've always loved to do. And it was the wild, wild west. Anybody and everybody that knew how to spell long distance could get into the long distance business if they wanted to via this resell opportunity. And so it was a lot of fun. We were very aggressive, learned a whole lot, and was able to be in an industry that was, like my old sports days, is just as competitive and still is, maybe more competitive these days. And that's what I love about it.
So this is where your life and your career really kind of take a turn. In 1987, you become the general manager for Cellular South, which is what C Spire was known as back then, their first market on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and were responsible for the company's startup in February of 1988. What did you know about this company called Cellular South before you came on board?
Well, I actually married into the Creekmore family.
Okay.
At about that same time. My wife, Ashley, is Wade Creekmore Jr.'s oldest daughter. And what a blessing that has been for my entire life, both personally and certainly professionally. My dad used to say, that's the best day's work you ever did. He got a job and a beautiful wife all at the same time. And so he was really proud of that. And we used to talk about that. But it really was the Creekmore family. They had been in the telephone business about 25 years or so before I came along. They knew it inside out, backwards and forwards. My wife talks about during the 1970s, she's listening to them talk about, wireless telephone service, cellular telephone service. It was more like, it was kind of pie in the sky stuff like an old Dick Tracy watch that, it seemed like that to her, that you could communicate. And sure enough, Wade and Jimmy had been preparing the company to be able to move from just being a landline-based telephone service, a local exchange company, to take advantage of the new rules and regulations that were being adopted at that time. Participate in auctions, lotteries. First it was lotteries, then auctions, so that we could have the spectrum, the radio frequencies that we needed to get into the cellular telephone business and all. So, that it was really easy for me to, when I had that opportunity to go into business with the Creekmore family, to say yes. I was very pleased and appreciative I had that opportunity and all. So it was, it really didn't matter a whole lot what I thought about it. I was glad to be able to go in business with them and do it. And I thought highly of it. I wasn't overly bullish on it, perhaps like they were, because back when we were first starting, there was in the wireless business, there was only one cellular telephone network in Mississippi at that time, and it was here in Jackson and the Jackson area. And it was, there were very few customers. It was, upper end vehicles were installed, had the little curly Q antennas. I don't know if anybody remembers those. Then they moved to bag phones and all that. But when we started in '88, only 1% of the population of the people in the U.S. had cellular telephone service. It had started in '83, '84 in Chicago. So we're at 1% market penetration. And then we look up 20 years later and we're at 100% penetration. Everybody wanted a phone, had a phone. So I can tell you, I did not see that. I had no idea. I was just glad to have a job and glad to be able to go out and you could tell it was going to be a very competitive industry. So I was fired up about that. I could tell my in-laws, they knew what they were doing. And I was glad to be the man on the ground down on the Gulf Coast where we started our first market. Wade and Jimmy were back here in the Jackson area, and I was there just running around trying to get tower locations and offices started and doing all the things that you do in a normal startup situation. And there was no playbook you could go to. Well, this is how you start a cellular telephone company. Everybody was all figuring it out together, and we just made it up as we went along. We called upon the experience Wade and Jimmy and they had with Franklin Telephone Company and Delta Telephone Company. Called on those fine people to help us along the way. But we got this thing going. We'd spun our wheels a little while, and Jimmy Creekmore said, why don't we just establish a day that we're going to get this thing done? Because we were just saying, we're going to get it started as soon as we can. And we put a marker in the ground. It was going to be February 4th of 1988, almost exactly 35 years ago, as we were celebrating our 35th anniversary. And we established February 4th of 1988, and we did not waste a minute of that time. Our first call was going to be at 9 a.m. that morning of February 19. It's supposed to be kind of a kind of a celebratory call. You're supposed to have your network on well before that and all. We literally had our first call at about 9 o'clock because the system didn't come up till 8:45 a.m. that morning. But we got it all done, and been rolling ever since.
I'm curious how you and the Creekmore, because you had a hand in the name Cellular South. So how did you and the Creekmores come up with the name Cellular South?
Well, I think it was more of the, let's call a duck. We're going to be, if I remember, we were in Capitol Towers building, and Wade and Jimmy were having the conversation, and I was part of it. And they might actually recall more detail of that. But we were going to be in the cellular business, and we were going to be in the South. We didn't know exactly where. Oh, why not Cellular South? Well, that sounds good. Let's see if we can get that trademarked, and all. We did. And it turned out to be a really good name for us that we utilized for about 20 years or so, maybe a little bit more. And then we changed our name for C Spire, which I'll get into perhaps in just a little bit. But the name Cellular South served us well for 22 years or so.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
The fabric of any community is its people. It's the commitment to hard work and to be our best. It's where you know your neighbor by name. It's where family is important. At Covington County Hospital, we are your family and friends. That's why your healthcare is important to us. From emergency room visits to primary care to behavioral health, we want to make sure that healthcare is available when you need it. Covington County Hospital, where your healthcare matters.
C Spire Fiber makes it so easy to make music on my computer. I was on Discord in real time, and it was like that. It's like that. It was exactly like being in the studio. From just the tap of the button, I can transfer files or send over projects, send over anything. It's just something I don't need to worry about. I'm just like, I have the creative side, and C Spire has got the whole internet side.
"100 years ago, there were a lot more of us. Today, we're using the latest technology to make sure not one seed, not one drop of water, not 1 inch of this farm goes to waste. We want to be here for the next generation of Mississippians, ours and yours. Donate at farmfamiliesms.org to help us spread the word, or find us on Facebook. The Farm Families of Mississippi, our work fuels the world.
Talking about what's happened under your leadership, people love when I read off this part to them. The company has grown to become the largest privately held wireless carrier and the 6th largest carrier in the nation. You also led the startup of Telepak Networks Incorporated, a fiber optic-based broadband networking company that today operates as C Spire Fiber. We were talking about that before the interview. It served as a catalyst for the company's geographic expansion over the last decade. From the startup on the coast to being the 6th largest carrier, that's quite the leap. So when you hear all that now, what goes through your mind when you reflect on what's happened on your watch?
Well, really, just the way I'm wired, the first thing that goes in my mind, what have I done to keep us from being twice as large as we are today? I mean, it's really how I think about it. We've had great people who have worked here and obviously still do, and all. And so I think, what have I done in my leadership to hold us back? Because I think, we're for a Mississippi company, we're really a large company, and all. And but we've had such great opportunity. We've taken advantage of most of it. But have we taken advantage of all of it? And so that's really what I'm thinking. And even if we were twice as large as we are today, I would still be thinking, okay, what have I done to make sure to keep us from being even twice as large as that? So it's just kind of how I'm wired. I don't like to think about past accomplishments, and I'm always thinking about the future. I always think about the potential that we have. We're blessed with many resources, blessed with very, very talented leaders and people in this company, and we want to be as large and dynamic and offer the very best service we possibly can to our customers. That's what we want to do, and the more customers we can provide services to, the better off we are. So I don't reflect on how we got to where we are. I reflect on and think about how do we get to an even bigger and better place.
Talking about your growth, you guys grew appreciably. In 2018, you acquired Birmingham-based TechLinks, and this expanded your capabilities in cloud, managed services, innovative voice, data, IT, cloud solutions for businesses around the country, not just here in Mississippi. So, again, growth on your watch and strategic growth at that. How big was this particular move at the time for C Spire?
Well, it was a logical move. You see how the puzzle pieces were coming together. We had been a wireless-focused company from 1988 to about 2010, and then in 2011 we changed our name to C Spire. And we changed it because we knew we were going to be offering a wider variety of services and diversifying the business. One of the reasons we knew that, we had been building fiber throughout the state of Mississippi, fiber optic networks throughout the state of Mississippi to connect all our towers for cellular and all. And we said, we have a valuable asset here. There are businesses who need access to the bandwidth and speeds of a fiber network. Why don't we leverage that in an even greater way? Because we're already kind of dabbling in that to some extent. But why don't we leverage that to a greater extent and offer it to more businesses and all? And so we did that, and we changed our name to C Spire and started offering fiber services in a dynamic way to businesses throughout our footprint. And we liked that, and we said, okay, why don't we go, now we've changed our name to C Spire. We got C Spire Business Solutions, as we called it at that time. Why don't we go C Spire, why don't we provide home services? And so we actually brought about 52 mayors from around the state of Mississippi and just asked the question, do you want fiber in your city? And we had 10 of them come forward and said, yes, we do. And so they expedited the permitting for us and all. And this was about 2013 when we did this. And we picked out 10 cities and got going into what became C Spire Home, all part of C Spire Fiber. And then to get to your question about TechLinks, as we're building out and connecting many businesses throughout the state of Mississippi, we started edging into the state of Alabama. TechLinks was a really good company, had a great reputation in the state of Alabama. They were not providing much in the way of fiber connectivity at all, but they were providing a lot of managed services, cloud-type services and all that we knew that we wanted to get serious about. They were already doing it very well, and so it just made sense for us to make that acquisition. And so that was good on one hand. On the other hand, it was also good to force us outside of the state of Mississippi, not because we deprioritized Mississippi in any way. We just had all our eggs in the Mississippi basket. It was time to diversify geographically as well. And so we got serious about the state of Alabama. That TechLinks acquisition was actually the second one we had made in Alabama. We also bought a company called Callis down in Mobile. And then we followed that up with a couple other Alabama acquisitions, Harbor Communications, and then most recently Troy Cable, which is kind of a misnomer, is Troy Fiber for the most part, in that most of their network is fiber. So we've gotten very serious about the state of Alabama in the last half decade or so. And it's been good to us, and we've been very good for the state of Alabama.
I know you're invested in all the states. You talked about Alabama, all the states where you guys do business, but you're very pro-Mississippi, and you're always looking forward to a way to push Mississippi forward in terms of technology, growth. Where are we here in the state of Mississippi in terms of that we could always improve, but where do you feel we are and where we need to go to continue to push forward and improve technology-wise?
Well, let me rewind it back. When we started building out the state of Mississippi in cellular, we did it unlike most companies do. We built the rural areas first, and then we came in and built the Jackson metro area, just how everything, kind of with the licensing of the spectrum and all worked. And so we did that. So the rural areas have always been very important to us. What that did is that forced competitors, these large international companies, to come in who have very recognizable brands, and they also build out rural areas and all in Mississippi. Because we're here, Mississippi has as good a coverage as any southeastern state as anybody, because the competitors followed us, and all of us together do cover the state really, really well, especially in comparison to surrounding states. So that was the first time we made a major impact. The second was on fiber. We were ahead of the curve on fiber, and even though the state of Alabama, as an example, has almost twice the people, until we got there, it had about half the route miles of fiber optic cable. Now, we started building fast and furiously over there, and others are too, and Alabama is catching up because of what we've been able to do. We're seeing that same thing in West Tennessee and all, where we're starting to get aggressive in fiber builds and all. But because we focus on this area, it forces others to focus on the area. But even whether they're going to do it or not do it, this is home for us. This is important. We love these markets. Speaking of the state of Mississippi, I've lived in Clarksdale and Oxford and Jackson and Starkville and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So I've lived almost all over the state and loved every place I've been. All the places are different, but there are a lot of you meet a lot of really good people, and it's just part of our DNA of what we do, and we're always going to be Mississippi first. It's just who we are.
Being the self-described sports nut, going back to that, C Spire has been involved in just a variety of sports-related projects, activities. Do you think your love and your passion for sports and being that self-described sports nut, do you think that maybe helps you guys understand what to tie C Spire to because of your understanding of sports, your love for sports? Do you think that kind of helps you guys figure out what to tie yourselves to and what not to tie yourselves to?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. We all have to bring our biases to everything, but really, C Spire is short for customer inspired. We watch and listen to what our customers are inspired about, what their passions are, and Mississippi is just a crazy state for sports. It really is. We have many great athletes who have grown up here and played at collegiate level and professional level and all. It's just an important piece of the fabric of the state of Mississippi. We know that because we have so many of our company team members are from the state of Mississippi. So we're passionate about sports, maybe to some extent what you're saying, my personal interest, but also people in Mississippi are just, as you know that, are passionate about their sports, and so we are. Another area that we've done, that we've taken a leadership role in and sponsoring and participating is the music scene in the state of Mississippi. And we know that music is very important to the people of this state. And so we over the years, we've sponsored music festivals and concerts and done various things in that realm as well. So we try to participate in the things that our customers are interested in, and those are just two natural paths that we've decided to traverse.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
The internet can be a dangerous place. With Connect and Protect from C Spire, you get the phone you want, and you get the tools to easily track her location, restrict content, and help protect her at any age. It's like a digital mom arm.
A what?
That thing moms do.
I'm not following.
How do I put this? Look out!
Oh, mom arm. Got it. Yeah.
Introducing Connect and Protect from C Spire. Only $30 a month with free guided setup. Customer inspired. That's C Spire.
It has often been said that home is where the heart is. It's where hard-working and dedicated people form the fabric of a thriving community. At Covington County Hospital, it's our priority to help keep our community safe, healthy, and moving. With our primary care clinics and services, we are working to keep you healthy. Because home is where the heart is. Home is where family matters. Covington County Hospital, where your health care matters.
It's no secret, our crops and animals need water to grow. Whether it's growing soybeans, corn, cotton, cows, or chickens, farmers use this natural resource every day, just like you do in your homes and at the office. Our promise is to only use what we need to keep producing what you need. Donate at farmfamiliesms.org to help us spread the word, or find us on Facebook. The Farm Families of Mississippi, our work fuels the world.
Feature that was one of my favorite
Yeah.
features, because I cut a lot of teeth covering high school football in this state, and Mississippi being comprised of small communities where football is king on any given Friday night, and you guys with the Bright Light feature highlighting some really important and long time Mississippi rivalries in this state. I thought that was well done, and it's my understanding that was kind of your vision, pretty much your vision, or you had a big hand in it. So what was your motivation to say, you know what, we're going to highlight these high school football rivalries in the state, and we're going to do it right?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't remember if it was my vision or not. I know a lot of people were excited about once that popped up as an idea. And at that time, it was really unusual for a high school football game to be broadcast on TV. So we worked out an arrangement with I think it was Fox Sports South, or one of the cable operations, and I don't remember specifically which one, that they were going to broadcast it not just throughout Mississippi, but throughout the Southeast. And so we decided, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We would catch crews that were going back and forth to college games, and they would come to wherever the high school ball game was going to be played in Mississippi and set up, and we had professional announcers who did a wonderful job. I remember Jim Richmond and his team did a great job of setting all that up and making sure it was done very, very well. And now it's not unusual. You see a lot of high school games on TV, and we feel like we kind of pushed the envelope on that, and we're glad we did it. We also feel like we did concerts, about 8 or 10 years ago, and I think it led to the wonderful amphitheater in Brandon, and all. People saw, okay, wow, we can put together outside concerts here in this market. C Spire's done that. That'll work, and I think from what I know, the Brandon Amphitheater has done really well as well. So those, we saw a great opportunity. We knew people were interested in high school football. It wasn't hard to figure out, but putting it on TV was new and different at the time, and it was a whole lot of fun. We had a great time doing that, and it was certainly brand impacting. Most of that happened at about the time that we were changing our name from Cellular South to C Spire. So it was a great way to rebrand and get our new brand out there in the marketplace.
Now, I don't think I've ever gotten to say this to you, but I felt like you guys set the standard for everyone that would. You said it's not that uncommon now to see a high school football game on TV, but I really feel like you guys set the standard with the Bright Lights feature. Kind of set the standard on this is how it should be done.
Right.
If you're going to do it going forward, this is how it should be done.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's really what we've tried to do with all of our marketing communications throughout the years. And we've had Susie Hayes has led that for many years. I mentioned Jim Richmond, Orion Watson. We just had so many people. I hate to mention names. I know I'm leaving some names out. But they said if we're going to do these things, we're going to do them right. We're going to do high school sports at the collegiate level. That's what we're going to do. When we roll out TV campaigns, we don't think about, well, will this play well in Mississippi? Well, yeah, of course it needs to. Will it play well in Alabama? Yeah, of course it needs to. But we're thinking about, is this a national quality asset that would be utilized by a national type company and all. So that's anything that we produce, direct, promote, get out into the marketplace. We're thinking it's got to be as good as anything out there, if not better.
I feel like you guys have set the standard when it comes to awards, trophies. You guys have been the title sponsor of the Connolly Trophy for a long time, and that's morphed into other awards: Bailey Howell Trophy in men's basketball, Boo Ferris Trophy in baseball, Peggy Gillum Trophy in women's basketball, of course Connolly Trophy to the state's most outstanding college football player. How important to you has it been for C Spire to be a part of all of these awards?
Well, I think it builds on what we talked about. We know how passionate our customers are and Mississippians are on when it comes to sports, and being able to align our brand with the best. We're giving the awards every year to, along with the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame, to the best football player, the best men's basketball player, the best women's basketball player, and all those things that we did for many years. Now we're just really focused on the Connolly Trophy and all, and kind of spreading the wealth some and let others jump in and do some of this. But for 20 years we did all of those, and it's been really fun to work with the Sports Hall of Fame. They've been a great partner through all this award presentation. Met some wonderful athletes and all at celebrations. Coaches come in and make presentations and talk about their nominees and their award winners and all. So it's good you get a chance to interact with the head coaches of the various sports of our wonderful universities in the state of Mississippi. So it's been a fun experience, but it was just such a natural for a company like ours whose vision is to be the best, to align with the best.
You mentioned the 35-year anniversary earlier that you guys just celebrated, February 4th, 1988. Did you ever in a million years think that we would be sitting here talking about, think about all the things we've detailed so far and all that you guys have accomplished here at C Spire under your watch. Did you ever think in a million years that you'd be on this kind of ride here at C Spire?
I didn't. I just didn't think about that. I knew that we were going to work hard. I knew we were going to do everything we possibly could to be as good as we could possibly get. Also, I've learned with my Christian faith, it's really, I can make my plans, but the Lord has His, and I had no idea what He had in store for this. I knew He wanted me in here to be part of it, but it's a clearer direction as someone might be able to get. That was the door that was open for me to walk through many, many years ago. And so, you never know what He has planned, and you just try to take advantage of it as best you possibly can and surround yourself with great people like we've done, and then put it in His hands and see what happens.
You mentioned earlier you don't really like looking at the accomplishments in the past. You're more, that's that coach's mentality, right? Looking forward, what's next?
That game's over.
That game's over. Let's go to the next one, right? So what is next for C Spire? What do you feel like is next for you guys to continue to move up?
Well, I've mentioned we're in 3 lines of business: wireless, home, and business. And all of them have great opportunities, especially our 2 relatively new ones, the business and home units and all. There's just so much, we just scratched the surface. We caught wireless on the front end 35 years ago. It's a more mature market, it's a more mature business for us and all. But these other 2, fiber-based business, fiber is really taking off. It was always a very desirable asset and a very desirable conduit to connectivity before the pandemic. But when the pandemic hit and everybody got sent home, people learned, okay, this is how you communicate in robust fashion from whatever premises you found yourself in, whether it be a home or a business or whatever. So I think we've just really scratched the surface on leveraging our fiber assets. We've got a lot more to build, we're always on the prowl for acquisitions and all. So I think it's not, I'm not saying we're going to branch out and get into new lines of business, because we have great opportunity in the ones that we're in right now, even though we're not opposed. We've done it before. We've diversified this business before. We very well may do it again, but we've got a lot of opportunity on our plate that we need to take full advantage as we move into through this new year and over the next 4 or 5 years.
I'm gonna break your rule just for a second. Look back at a past accomplishment, because I know you're really proud. You received the prestigious Rube Award back in 2019 for your lifetime contributions to Mississippi sports. Of course, this award named after Michael Rubenstein, late sportscaster here in Jackson. I grew up watching Rubenstein, right?
Right.
I think a lot of us did.
Yes, we did.
This is pretty prestigious award. I'm going to read off the past winners: Con Maloney, Tyrone Keys, Ron Polk, Governor William Winter, Archie Manning, Ben Puckett, and Boo Ferris. For that young kid that grew up wanting to go into coaching and loving sports, what was that moment like for you?
It was like, why me? I mean, it's like it must have been a typo when they typed in the list and added my name to it. That's really what I was thinking. That's a wonderful group of people to be associated with. And having known the people at the Hall of Fame for a while, and them knowing me and still giving me that award and all, was really humbling and gratifying. And it was a wonderful night, and to be able to go up there and accept that award. It really was, and really surprising as well.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hi, I'm Erica Bedwell, the Director of Rehab at Covington County Hospital. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services says you have a right to choose the swing bed program that's right for your loved ones. Our patients experience a comforting, supportive, and healing environment in large private rooms. Our swing bed staff is highly skilled and includes board-certified physicians, practitioners, and experienced nursing staff, all working alongside physical, occupational, and speech therapist staff to return your loved ones to the quality of life they deserve.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
C Spire Fiber makes it so easy to make music on my computer. I was on Discord in real time, and it was like that. It's like that. It was exactly like being in the studio. From just the tap of the button, I can just transfer files or send over projects, send over anything. It's just something I don't need to worry about. I'm just like, I have the creative side, and C Spire has got the whole internet side.
Mississippi's farmers love what they do, producing food and products for you and your family to enjoy. But we know this land is not just ours, it's yours too. That's why our farmers maintain this soil, keeping it rich and bountiful. We are sustaining this land so it will be useful to feeding generations to come. Donate at farmfamiliesms.org to help us spread the word, or find us on Facebook. The Farm Families of Mississippi, our work fuels the world.
You mentioned your faith a minute ago, and of course faith is important to myself and Third Bird Films here, as it's very important to us and our company. So how important is faith to Hu Meena?
Well, it's the most important thing. Yeah. It's really the only thing that matters in eternity. Mm-hmm. You know, Jesus is king, he's been king, and will be king. You know, that's what really matters. And that's my perspective. Yes, I'm a sinner, there's no question about that. And because of that, I need Jesus even more. But I just can't imagine going through adulthood and all, and not knowing Him, and not being able to call on His name through the many trials that we all face. Everybody faces trials and obstacles and hurdles and all, and not being able to rely on my faith in Him sure makes it a better life and all. And there's no way I could have done this job as a non-believer. No possible way. And all. So that's, if you ask me what it means everything.
What a great answer. Gosh, we need to take that and put that on replay for the remainder of the season, right? So I'm going to switch it up on you just a little bit. So if there's a movie that's had an impact on you as a business leader, is there a movie that?
It really is. Actually, the movie and the book is Moneyball.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the book and the movie because it makes you think about doing things a different way. Mm-hmm. And it also fights the old adage of we've always done it this way, let's keep doing it because we've been doing it that way. To me, that's the worst reason in the world to do anything. Mm-hmm. And always be looking for new things and new ways to improve and all. And things do change. And I just love the story. John Lewis, is that I think that's right. Maybe saying his name, the author. The way Brad Pitt played that role in the movie, and it's just one of those things that had a lot of. I've watched it so many times. It's kind of, I hate to admit it. I watched it, but I just love the whole approach of thinking about things differently because baseball is our oldest professional sport. Mm-hmm. It had been done basically the same way up until around 2000 when the Oakland A's took a totally different perspective on the sport, and it's radically changed baseball at all levels once they did.
Is there a talent that you possess that maybe would surprise, shock your staff? Is there something you're good at? You have a talent that?
I can't. I think it's surprising that I don't really have a whole lot of talents other than being able to identify those who do. That's probably the best talent. I can see the many talents that others have and getting them into the right seats on the bus, as the old book says, and all that brought that out, good to great, and getting people in the right seat. And if I do have a talent, it is being able to determine other people's strengths and talents and all, and be able to leverage those. Because when you're maybe somewhat limited in talent, you can really appreciate those who have various talents and all. It becomes more obvious to you and all.
I was ready for Hugh to say he plays piano, like Jerry Lee Lewis.
No.
I've always wanted. I say that because I've always want to learn how to play piano.
I wish I could. I'm with you. I do. We bought a house one time and had a piano in it and still have it, and I can't play it.
I can't play a lick.
I love it when people come over who can play it.
So if there's a young person watching and they say they're following this interview and they're getting on Google and looking up Hu Meena and they want to follow your path, your footsteps, a young person that wants to get involved in telecommunications and technology, because technology and wireless, all of that, like we were talking about before the interview, it changes almost every day. What advice would you give a young person watching that wants to get into that field and maybe follow in your footsteps?
Well, I think there are many more doors to go through in technology than when I was coming through, because they've all grown up in a digital world. They're digital natives and they're very comfortable with it. And if they're comfortable with it and they enjoy it and all, technology is one area of the economy that's going to continue to grow. I would encourage them to get into it, perhaps study computer science or engineering, a whole wide variety of things. Certainly traditional disciplines like accounting and law and all apply to telecom-based technology like we're in. But if you're interested in it, look into it. Find a discipline that you would like to study that would help advance that, and go after it. Technology is going to continue to grow and be an even larger part of the economy in the U.S. and the world. And come on, let's go, let's play.
Well, final question for you. What do you think your former coaches, Nick Clark and Gene Barber, two men that had such a positive impact on your life, what do you think they would think about the path and career and just your life and your career, this path that you've taken? What do you think that they would say if they were sitting here?
Well, I stay in touch with Nick Clark, my former football coach, and he's very encouraging these days, and was always encouraging in his own way back when I was playing ball for him. He was always challenging us to do our very best, and in a loud, vociferous way. And loved playing for him. Actually worked with him. He let me come out and help coach some of the teams when I was in college and do all that. And so I love working. But he was very intense, and I'm sure he still is. And in fact, not too many years ago, he was the director of development at East Mississippi Community College. I answered my phone at my desk, and you hear this booming voice, "Hey, Meena." I knew who it was. Yeah, yes, sir, Coach. Said, "We're going to have a golf tournament at Old Waverly, and you're sponsoring it." "Okay, Coach." That's one thing I knew to say. And so we've kept a really good relationship and all for many years. One time in high school, you probably don't hear all these stories, but
no, I
was a scout. I think I mentioned scout team quarterback. So I was bringing the team to the line, and he said, "Hold on. Hey, Meena, who shot President Kennedy?" This is well past a decade after that, and I'm trying to practice football and trying to run the scout team. And I said, "Coach, Lee Harvey Oswald." "Oh, man, you don't know what you're talking about. It was Lady Bird Johnson. She wanted to move into the White House." "Oh, okay, Coach." And then he said, "Why don't you run the play?" "Well, you stop me." And just stuff like that. He was always, and I knew he loved us because he would mess with us. Mm-hmm. He cared. He was always interested in everything we did. And the worst thing in the world would be if he ignored you, and he didn't do that very often. So that was a great experience. Learned a lot of leadership from him, and learned about how you need to be passionate about what you do. Gene Barber was one of the best high school coaches in basketball in the state of Mississippi. It's well documented and all. And I had the good fortune playing basketball for him and all. And just totally different personality, pretty laid back, knew the game of basketball very, very well. And the way he disciplined was the one way that could make me a way that would certainly ensure that I would run through a wall. If you were ever not hustling and ever not working hard during the game, he would just kind of do this and he said, "Why don't you just come over here and sit by me on the bench?" And boy, when that happened, and then he kind of forget about you. It happened one time with me, and I never loafed again. And he didn't raise his voice. He didn't talk to me about it. He put me over there on the bench, and that was. And I would much rather anything. That was the worst. That was the worst fate of all, was to have to sit on the dang bench.
Just stop talking to you.
Yeah, he just said, "Come on over here and have a seat." He would talk to me. He just wasn't going to put me back in the game. And that just, and I just learned what I learned from playing for those two men. There are a lot of ways to skin a cat. Everybody's different. And if you're committed to winning, committed to excellence and all, you utilize your style to best get the team to move forward and be successful.
Successful is probably, if I had to think of one word to describe your time at C Spire, it is successful. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you taking some time with us. I know your schedule is insanely hectic, so I appreciate you sitting down with us for the show, and look forward to part 2 down the road.
I certainly enjoyed it, Jason. Good to be with you.
It was really, really good.
All right. Record on the audio, and we'll be
Thank you for your patience, Mr.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm ready. Yeah, man.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of Audibles with Jason Scarborough.